Welcome to the podcast where we speak truth, illuminate power, and fully embody who the fuck we are. This is the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. We are all about spiritual evolution, spiritual growth, talking about the things that may be controversial, even some triggering concepts, but we are all about expansion. Come on in and join us as we reclaim and recenter ourselves in the power of who we really are. We are the Light Warriors, and welcome to the revolution. Here we are, episode 117 of the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. And this is a tight one. I don't have a lot to say around it because lately I've been in potent conversations of collapsing energy into tight locations. So I'm just going to deep dive and give it to you. And, you know, it's been a transition in life. I've been doing a lot of self-work. I've been doing a lot of work on myself and moving energy through and expanding and adventuring in my own energetics. And this is the work right now. This is the work we're being called into. And I'm going to layer more work for you to understand, to take potentially into your energetic field as you move through this next phase for yourself in this episode. And I ask you some pertinent questions. And I hope, like I always do, that you'll take it and run, and that you'll implement it, or you'll take what you need from it and move it through into your world, because this is why we're here. Do the work, show up, serve the people. Do the work, show up, serve the people. That's why we're here. So I hope that you can be served in this episode, as in all the episodes that we create together. And I'm just really, really grateful to have this platform and to have you here listening today. So no further ado, episode 117, Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. Well, I think that this is going to be a real talk podcast. And you may be like, Colleen, we've been listening to some episodes. We've been in your world. Some of you have listened to all the episodes that have dropped in the space of this, and that's amazing. And you're like, your whole entire podcast is real talk. I know. I just wanted to kind of preface that and move it through as we explore the conversation today. And I have been doing so much work on myself. So much energetic work, so much releasing work, so much clarity work, so much movement work, so much work on myself. And it's been interesting over the last few weeks as what's transpired. And for some of you that don't know, I have a container called The Collective, which is a membership-based container. And every single week I go live in The Collective. And right before the call this week, literally it happened like literally an hour ago before I started to hit record on this podcast episode. I had a call with my mentor, and we were talking about different dynamics and moved through so much shit in our call. It's amazing what you can do in 45 minutes when you're like potently aligned and ready to release and just let go of things. And she said to me, you're still holding shame and self-forgiveness in your sacrum, like in your sacral area, that's been blocking your ability to create the money you want. And when I breathe, as you can see, for those of you watching the video, like I breathe into this, I'm like, fuck, this is true. Yeah, see, I'm already clearing it in the space of it all. I've already cleared it, actually. It's already gone. But just like saying that out loud to you is like such a valve release in the space of everything. And I wanted to chat with you guys about this today, because I feel like there's a lot of you that are holding on to energies of the past in forgiveness of self, that you haven't stepped up to actually forgive yourself for things that transpired, whatever it was. You know, you maybe not being the ideal parent, or you going through this, or you making choices in that, or you staying in this relationship, or you being that, or you deciding to do this with your money, or whatever. And if I look back and get really honest with myself, there were so many moments of my life that I have not forgiven myself for. Like cheating on my boyfriend when I was like 19, and sleeping with my best friend's boyfriend when I was 17, or making the decisions to use alcohol as a way out for 5 years of my life, you know, growing up in my late teens, early 20s. Or the moments that I hurt people like this on purpose, or the things that I did in this way. And it's just like the list will open right up for you if you start to do this work. And why I'm asking you this today, and why I'm calling this forward today, is that I realize that I cannot make the money I want by holding on to shame or not forgiving myself, which means that you cannot live the life that you truly desire in whatever way by holding on to shame and not forgiving yourself. And if you start to really feel into that and really allow yourself to feel into that, you'll be like, fuck, she's right. And it's like when we hold space here and we allow ourselves to drop into this and we start to honestly look at ourselves and start to really maneuver this energy forward, you will see where the disconnects are. You will see the dynamics of this. You will see it in your world. Just most of us are shit fucking scared to see. We're shit scared to own it. We're shit scared to step in. We're worried about this. We're worried about that. We're not prepared to. We have these conversations about, and you know the drill, you know the story, you know this playing out in your energetic field. You understand this because some of you have been doing the work, right? You've been honoring, you've been stepping up, you've been trying things, you've been discovering, you've been maneuvering through. And it's like you're at this crossroad of timing. And I said to my mentor today, she says, why did you decide like 2 weeks ago to start working with me? I said, because I'm fucking done with the level I was at and I am ready, and maybe I'm never ready, but I was ready to embrace this next phase, knowing what was coming, knowing the work I needed to do, knowing the things I needed to shift, knowing the honesty I needed to have, knowing the stories that started to come up, like things I'm remembering now that I fucking forgotten about needed to come through for me to take ownership and start to honor. This is the life I want, and this needs to be dealt with. And it doesn't have to take long. And that's the thing I really want to emphasize right now in the collective energies, is that some of us are still playing out old storylines of things needing time and healing can't happen that fast and we can't transition this energy quickly. Yeah, you fucking can. And if you start to allow yourself to believe that the second you decide to shift the energy, it's shifted and done, then everything changes in your world. And that's the key that I'm asking of you today is, can you allow yourself to step into that? Can you allow yourself to play there? Can you allow yourself to drop into that, to be like, I'm deciding today that this is done and this is done. And now your job is to be in that energy, is to flow with it, is to open it, is to be with it, to discover within it, to intuitively allow yourself to be led, to follow the callings of the heart, to move through this adventure, trusting that everything will come together. And that's the most challenging part, is that we're stuck in our loops. Most of us don't want to take ownership for the shit that's transpired. We're still avoiding the stuff that needs to be enlightened and moved through. And it's like we're being called into this phase of awareness. But until we start to go there and do the work around it and allow ourselves to be in it, nothing will change. Nothing will change. I just recently made a post on Instagram. It's like the only thing that's consistent right now in our lives is change. So you're either on the change wagon or you're resisting it. And if you're resisting it, you're creating way more struggle and chaos for yourself than necessary. You don't even need that shit in your world, but you're choosing that shit in your world every day. So let's breathe into this for a moment. Let's allow this to land in our energetic field. Let's allow you to just feel this for a second, to be like, okay, where in my life right now am I still holding on to these energies because I haven't forgiven myself, or I haven't gone into the shame to honor the shame and what's moving through the shame, or I haven't had this honest discussion with myself about the shit that I did. It's like, guys, I have so many fucking stories about shit I've done, and so many of them that I'm like, I don't want anyone to know. You know, I just recently did a reel, like over the last week, where I claimed into the universal field that at 23, I claimed bankruptcy. And that is not something I used to talk about, because I used to hold so much shame around that energetics, so much shame around that space, that I wasn't responsible enough, that I didn't do the things, that I didn't do that I had this dream of being a millionaire. And in my mind that I needed to do it this way, and that way didn't work out in the reality of my life at the moments of time. And it was almost like I was ahead of my game. Okay. And like, yeah, that plays out in the space of the world I was living in then, but I didn't have the tools and assets that I do today to be able to move it through. Plus, I don't really need massive sound systems and the shit that I bought then, because then it was an identity for me. I was trying to be something that I thought I wanted to be without actually integrating the energy in that. And so therefore there was a disconnect in all the energetic alignment. And I sent that reel out because I'm in this quest of transparency, which I've always been, but even more depthfully than before. And I took ownership of that on Instagram and on my TikTok. And that's out in the world. And that's something that I don't have to hold on to anymore. And I'm not saying that you have to go and tell everybody on your social media the shit that you're holding shame around, but maybe for some of you, that's a real thing. Maybe for some of you, that's part of the messaging, that's part of the work you're doing in the world, that's part of the movement that you're creating in the world. I don't know. I don't know what it is for you. But where are you holding it? I was working with a client once, and while we were working together, a podcast episode came out where I was being interviewed on an abortion podcast, and I went on to talk about the 3 abortions that I've had in this lifetime. And she said to me, I've had an abortion too, and I hold so much shame around that abortion. I would never be able to speak that into the world. And I'm like, that shame is blocking her life that she really desires to live. And it is. And I couldn't help her move through it because she was refusing to let go of that shame. And I couldn't make her see something differently because she wasn't available for that. And maybe she is now, and maybe she's moved through it, and maybe she's done some work around it, but we all are holding on. And it's not serving you anymore. So how can we start to get brutally honest with ourselves so that we can actually live the life we want? Instead of the mediocrity, instead of the half in, instead of the struggle that you're on whatever capacity that it is for you. Where are you being called to forgive yourself? And that's my message today. Short and sweet, right to the point. We're almost in the landscape. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop one of my guest episodes shortly. I think I'm going to do it next week, and I'm just going to go flip out the intro, record it in a different clothing and energy and all the things, and launch into some of the guest episodes starting out. I'll still do a solo in between because I think I don't want to change everyone's intros. Just the one. I'm going to pull the back one to the front and step up into that space with it, because I really feel the desire of starting to serve you guys with some of the energy that's been coming in. And this has been potent as fuck, just putting it that way. The caliber of speakers and people coming into my world through the channel, I cannot wait for your upgrade. I cannot wait for you to feel this. I can't wait for you to be served this way. I cannot wait. And I am just so grateful. I want to say thank you to you guys for listening. I want to say thank you to the people that are coming into the world of this podcast, that are showing up for the first time and being here, because I know that you desire something else in your life. You're calling for more. You want to connect more to self. You want to uncover your own truths. You want to step up into the space, and you're doing the work. So welcome to the revolution. Like I say at the beginning, welcome to the revolution. You are in it. You are here. So I'll see you guys all in the next episode of the podcast. Bye for now.